Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Assemble, show where you come for your rambling geeky download. My name's Tommy, and I am delighted, as always, to be joined by my friend and co-host from across the pond. It's our resident archaeologist of the pod, DL.
How are you, bud?
Hey, buddy.
I'm
How those digs going?
slowly. I'm a very full archaeologist after a big pasta dinner.
Oh man, it's delicious. I love that place.
Yeah, it's good. So not fast.
We went on our first double date there.
We did. We did do that. Yeah.
It's a nice spot. Bondi Junction has some great cuisine.
It does. I mean, I don't typically eat for restaurants, but I think that there's a couple there. There's a couple gems.
I think there's a sneaky couple of gems.
There's a ramen place, I think, as well.
Oh, really? I bloody love ramen. I actually make like phenomenal ramen. Like, if I may say so myself.
Who makes ramen? That's a weird thing to make.
It was winter and it was still kind of COVID, and I was like, hey, I could do this.
What is it probably isn't that hard.
It's not. The process is you've just got to like leave it to simmer for absolutely ages, like in the broth.
You just got to plan.
Yeah,
basically.
You just got to take time, and it just takes a lot of effort. What have you been up to, buddy? What's been happening?
Same.
Your little party last week.
I did have a little party.
Little party.
You were in and out.
It was, yeah.
He sees enough of me on the podcast. He gets his 2 hours a week.
It's not enough, man. It's just not enough.
It was,
it's an engagement party, hey.
Yeah, it was an engagement party.
Look at you guys being all grown up.
10 Prosecco bottles.
10?
Later. Gail bought like 8 or something.
Jeez.
Party lasted a while.
Yeah, it went on. Hey. Well, look, it was an engagement party. I thought it was going to be like a short affair. I thought it was going to be in and out. So I thought it was
in any scenario.
The meeting was the meeting. The invite said like 1 p.m. and I thought, all right, well, it's probably going to be a few casual chilled drinks and everyone's going to be out by like 4 or 5. So obviously my partner had to go off and do her thing. So I was like, oh, well, if it's going to be wrapping up by like 5 p.m., what's the point of sticking around that much longer? So when we left, and then everyone apparently arrived.
No, yeah, everyone. I mean, you left like what, 3:30? Everyone probably got there at like 2:30, 3:30, somewhere in between there, and then it kept going. Anyway, this is boring chat.
Kicked on big time. Yeah,
kick on.
If you guys don't want to listen to us chat shit about our weeks, feel free to jump around. There will be time codes in the description. Thanks, as always, to friend of the show and editing genius, Mr. Matthew Bliss of Blissery.fm. We'll give you all of his details at the end of the show. Stick around, because he is worth your time. DL, what have you been up to this week?
What have I been up to? Nothing really. You know the Murdaugh case?
Murdaugh?
Do you know what this is?
No, what's
you
this?
haven't heard of this case in America?
It sounds like a Lethal Weapon character.
Dude, it's actually, well, he is the character, but it's a gnarly family from North Carolina that's like super. I think it's North Carolina.
Are they too old for this shit by any chance?
They're super, like, they're basically like really rich old family, own both sides of the law in this like podunk town. Like way richer than everybody else, and have been getting away with murder
literally
for a while, and quite literally this guy apparently he was indicted. He was being indicted by his own family for a bunch of shit in the law firm because he did a bunch of like embezzlement and all sorts of bad stuff.
The things you do when you're super rich and you think you can get away with anything.
Yeah, he apparently killed his mom. Well, he was under investigation and on trial for killing his wife and son.
What?
Yeah.
Is this like a Netflix show or something?
It is. So anyway, where I'm going is on top of all this has been happening for like a year, I think, or 6 months or something. And they've released a Netflix documentary about the family. And
it's called what? It's called Murdaugh.
Murdaugh, Murdaugh, I think. Anyway, I don't know what it's called. I don't know what the actual, it has their name in it.
Okay.
It's interesting.
I'm going to check this out. This looks fun. Fun. This looks right up the alley I'm into. Not fun at all.
It talks. Well, this is so far the documentary is about his son.
Okay, all right.
I'm wondering. There's like 3 or 4 episodes. I'm wondering if it's ever going to get to him or if this is just going to be like an expose.
It always builds up to it.
I don't know because the outcome like just happened. So he just got convicted. I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
but this, a lot like recently.
This last 6 months or something.
Like in the last month.
Yeah, but they churn that shit.
My point is I think it's more like to give you the backstory to this family ahead of that outcome. Okay, I don't think they're going to dig too much into that.
That's fun. I'm actually in a bit of a sort of like, that's really up my alley right now. Sometimes your brain gravitates to certain like genres of TV. Like, I'm not actually going to talk about anything today, but there's one thing that I'm nearly finished with, and it's like kind of like morose like that.
Morose.
Yeah, it's kind of in that same region. I've been watching it recently.
It's kind of just depressing because I don't want to spoil it for you. But it was interesting, and it's a mutual thing. Like, Gail was like, we need something we both want
to watch together.
And I was like, just don't put on reality TV. Like anything, I compromised at that point. I was like anything but reality TV.
Well, actually, the partner's been out a lot recently. She's had a lot of work stuff going on, etc., etc. So, literally, I've had all the time in the world to myself with the TV, and I've like, there's just nothing I want to watch. Like, it's really random, and there's so much good stuff.
Watch Lord of the Rings.
I just like can't. Yeah, I should. I absolutely should.
Come on.
But one thing I have been watching.
About it.
Okay, one thing I have been watching is this show on Netflix, and it's called C-U-N-C, Kunk on Earth. Sorry, C-U-N-K, Kunk on Earth. And how to describe it to you? It's effectively like a narrative of like society as it's built through the years, right? And it's this British chick, and she sort of does that Borat thing of acting dumb in like interviews with like real historians and real like art historians and stuff like that, and asks like a stupid question like, but why is Michelangelo's dick so small? You know what I mean? Just to like throw them and see how they react to these questions.
Ali G style thing.
Exactly like that, like Borat or Ali G. But she's got that British sensibility about her. Like, it's so dry. It's almost like
they don't see it coming.
They don't see it coming. But it's almost got like the sensibility of like a Monty Python or something like that, because it comes out of such left field.
Yeah.
And it's really fun. And it's actually, I want to say it's informative. It's really not. Like, it's just kind of funny and dumb. Like, I like it a lot. It's different. You should check it out.
Yeah, I would, but there's so many things on my list.
Okay, I mean, it's like
Shadow and Bone got
episodes.
released. That's my dumb thing that I'm going to watch next. I will watch it next.
I think I'm all right. What else have you been up to?
I just love Ben Barnes.
I do love him too. He's
I want
great.
to see what he's doing. I was watching His Dark Materials.
Oh yeah, talk to me about that.
Finish it. I'm slowly getting to the end. Look, I think it's overrated.
Oh really?
But it's like a surprising choice of HBO adaptation. If you're going to adapt a high fantasy thing, I'm kind of like, there's got to be better ones than that. It's very tweeny. It's not terrible. It's better than Shadow and Bone.
That's a glowing indictment.
It's better than Shadow and Bone as far as fantasy goes.
I think we've talked about this recently.
Yeah, well, because I've been watching it slowly but surely. It's got like religious elements and multi-world elements, and
I mean, it's 84% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I don't get why though.
Okay. Oh wow.
I think it's a little bit worse than that. I think it's more like a 78.
I mean,
what would you give a Shadow and Bone?
Semantics at that point.
What would you give? No, 80 is a statement. Okay. Once you get to 80, you can consider it good. Okay. 70, I would say, is that anything in the 70s.
What would I give Shadow and Bone?
Yes.
Are you really asking me this?
Yes.
Worse than Aquaman.
We're not doing it for the pod. We're doing it on like, what would you say Shadow and Bone
like
is on
at absolute tops 30.
30?
Yeah, like no way higher than that. No chance.
Let's look.
I didn't enjoy. I mean, if you want me to tell you what I actually think it's probably going to be around 64, I reckon. But
that's my point. Like this is definitely a solid 10% better.
I think enough people are tweeny enough to enjoy that show, but like it doesn't. I don't think it's got mass appeal. But does His Dark Materials have like mass appeal?
It seems to do better.
Interesting.
Let's see.
What is it?
89. Fuck. 89%. From gorgeous costumes to impressive, if intimidating, world building. Shadow and Bone is certainly as meticulous as its source material, but folding in unexpected stories, it expands the novel's scope to craft an exciting adventure for fans and newcomers alike. I don't agree with this rating, but I will say I don't think what's it called is that much better.
I've lost all respect for Rotten Tomatoes. Like on
I just,
every
you just
level.
don't like the main girl, which I don't either. By the way,
I don't like anyone except
her
for Ben
teeth
Barnes.
is very yellow.
Her what?
In this, her teeth are very yellow in this show. It's like, go get a whitening.
On purpose?
She wasn't famous.
Right. You think it's like a character choice? Like they made her like, as in
well,
like...
she did come from like the poor. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe it's a character choice.
Doubt it.
Okay. I haven't noticed that. Good, that show I paid zero attention to.
Anyway,
don't go back and listen to that episode because it's a crap one.
What else? What have you been watching beyond not Shadow and Bone?
So I watched an interesting film last couple of weeks. Me and the partner, it was like a Sunday night or something. We were like flicking through. And we stopped. We for some reason we decided we wanted to watch a Hugh Jackman film. Now the reason was
that is so random.
I know.
I woke up today and I needed some Hugh Jackman in my life.
The reason was I wanted to watch Logan, and she did not want to watch a comic book movie. So we settled on a newish film. I think it's from last year. It's called Reminiscence. You may have seen the trailers for it. It got pretty like roundly wiped by the critics. It's about like a future state where the oceans have risen, the world's all changed, etc. And the short version is that instead of people trying, it's so hard to live in this world. People like
take swimming lessons.
No, well, yeah, they probably need them. They found a way to live effectively through their memories, so you can like induce a state where like you can actually feel like you're back at a certain point in your life. and like,
all because there's a bit more water.
Oh man, it's so well. There's wars and stuff and etc. and things.
Water
like
wings.
It's all right. It's not terrible. Like it's not bad. It's just not good. I didn't
noodles.
like the main female lead. Her like she did this like U-turn with her like whole personality at the very end of the film. Like you couldn't tell if she was a goodie or a baddie or whether she was been like strong-armed into doing the things she was doing. And then it turned out like she loved him all along, and it was like it just didn't add up. It wasn't the sum of its parts. It felt cheap the whole way through. They put all their budget into getting Hugh Jackman.
They should have just gotten Water Wings and called it a day.
They should have just done Waterworld again.
I never saw that movie.
Oh man, we should put that on one of our.
I saw the Universal Studios ride.
Oh, here you go.
Accompany the movie.
Rotten Tomatoes.
The show. Sorry.
Rotten Tomatoes is winning me back a little bit. The Rotten Tomatoes for this Reminiscence film is 36%.
See, I would never allow.
Well, we clearly didn't look at that,
but you have to look.
That's very true.
36% is not worth your time.
So bad. All right, hit me with your last one. What else have you been up
to? Chris Rock has a new comedy special out.
Oh,
that was it's basically the material he toured here with like a year ago.
Got it.
And he addresses the Will Smith stuff. Having gotten to that point, I was 45 minutes in. Not gonna lie, he kind of bugs me now.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
He used to be much better.
I feel like a lot of comedians do that. They get a bit like almost self-congratulatory with their comedy.
I don't know. He just yells a lot and repeats himself. And I'm just
sounds like me.
And like his insights aren't like, they're kind of like, it's his delivery is kind of funny sometimes.
Yeah, okay.
But his insights aren't that like, like a comedian can like take you to a place where he makes it. He takes it. He gives you this premise, and you're like, no way, dude. You're not gonna get me on board with this. And then he finds a way to like, he or she, I should say, insightfully make you be like, oh, fair enough. Even though like it started out with like some absurd claim, right? That was totally borderline.
Totally.
Like his insights aren't like that. They're just like,
he's not. I like. He's always felt like kind of privileged to me. Like he's probably not. He's not from a privileged background, but like I feel like when I started watching him in comedy, he'd already done film stuff. So like. It's that thing about a good band, right?
Black man privilege? Is that what you telling me?
It's like when you
the black man's privilege.
Let me change directions very quickly. When you start listening to a new band, right? They're singing about having no money, they're poor, they're just trying to get by.
Yeah, it's harder to be real.
And then when they make money and they're like living the Hollywood lifestyle, it's not the same music. It's like the Arctic Monkeys. Now they're crap because they have no.
Unless they were always high on themselves, like the 1975 or
who did love to toss himself off. But
I thought the Arctic Monkeys.
He was very privileged growing up. The 1975 guy. He was like the son of a celebrity.
Yeah, no, it's my point. Like they were always, they always toyed.
He's super woke as well. So woke.
Anyway,
so woke. Final thing I did this week, I watched another movie which is thank God better than Reminiscence and had a blast doing it. And I watched it in chunks because I enjoyed it so much I wanted to slow down watching it. But it was Blade Runner 2049. What a movie that is.
Didn't you not like it?
No, I love that movie.
I thought you'd seen it before and you didn't like it.
No. Ryan Gosling.
It's one of my other, I don't know, one of my other buddies. Not my other podcast mate.
Don't think we can be friends.
Yeah, no, they were just like, it's kind of boring. Oh, it's my group chat with my buddies back home. They're like, oh, I found it boring. I was like, you guys suck.
You don't get cinema.
I mean, I thought it was like perfectly executed.
I'm like, it is very long. I'll give it that. Like, I understand from that perspective, but like, even just that first scene with Dave Bautista, who I never have really rated as an actor. Like, get it? For a wrestler, he's a good actor, but as an actor, he's not my favorite. Like ever since you see that first scene and he smashes Ryan Gosling through a wall and then he has to kill it. Oh, it's so good.
I really liked it as well. I think it just sets a really good atmosphere and
I
just really quickly I remembered a good Chris Rock joke from the skit. He has a bit about. Do you remember like the storming of Washington?
Yes.
Or they like tried to overthrow the government.
Yeah, of course.
He has a bit like the white people trying to overthrow the white people. He's like, what they do? They go in there. We got to get rid of them. Who? Us. It's so good.
Says the two white guys doing a podcast.
No, but I had to give him credit. I ripped him a bit, but like that was fucking awesome. That was fucking hilarious.
I like that. Anyway. Maybe I'll give it a go after all. Hey guys, what we do now is we talk a little bit about the news, the things we've heard during the week. We like to call this segment "Have You Heard?" And wow. There's been a lot of things. I couldn't
find any. You brought all the news this week.
Well, there's a couple of fun things which I think you'll very much enjoy. Let me start with the news of the sequel to our famous rating system, You're my favorite movie, Aquaman 2018. We both know that the second movie is coming up. I think it's coming around this Christmas. But this has been sent in by a few friends of the show, including friend of the show, AT. Thank you very much. We appreciate it when you guys send us stuff. You can send us it wherever you like. You can find us Instagram at podcastassemble or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. Go to our website if you can't find those. It's www.podcastassemble.com. This one is phenomenal. So thank you, AT. But apparently, DL, Aquaman 2 is reportedly, and like this is a pretty big claim, the worst movie in the DCEU. Now think about some of the movies that have come before
long
this.
shot as well. Didn't people like walk out of the screening?
It's been reported people are getting up and walking out of like test screenings. Now that's like unheard of. That's ludicrous.
Are they like paid to be there or something?
Well, like it's a privileged position. Like to be in there, you've got to either know someone or be part of like a specific audience, and like to get up and walk out. Fuck me,
pretty cool.
How bad can it be?
Well, I mean, apparently pretty bad. Like,
hey, we're gonna do it for the pod. Like I can't
wasn't
wait.
Amber Heard in it, and they like took her out.
I reckon she'll still be in it. Like, look, if Ezra Miller's still going to be in the Flash movie, she's still going to be in this, surely.
I don't know. I feel like she was worse than Ezra.
Nah, Ezra's a pretty bad bloke at this point.
I mean, but like I don't know. I think that's debatable. And but my point is, didn't she get like?
I think she lost the lawsuit. Yeah, she lost the lawsuit.
Something happened though. I thought they pulled her. I thought it was announced.
They were trying to.
Okay.
They were trying to. I don't know if they could. They'd filmed most of the bloody movie, so how they'd pull her out? Just deep fake her face.
Just put her starfish in.
Yeah, we talk about it at the time. Just deep fake Johnny Depp's face onto Amber Heard for all times.
God.
We'll still watch it. We'll still put some money in DC's pocket.
I'll
Why
watch
not?
it, yeah,
I think
sure.
I just can't wait to do.
I actually don't want to watch it at all, but like we have to. I get it.
Yeah, I just can't wait to do whether Aquaman 2 is better or worse than Aquaman 2018.
I mean, like it seems.
It sounds like
clear.
It's going to be worse.
It seems very clear.
If it ever comes to cinema. Look, anyway, did you hear this week, DL? Some fun news. Now, if you've been on our website I was talking about just before, you'll see that we've got a blog about is, ironically, Cocaine Bear better or worse than Aquaman 2018?
Go have a read.
Have a read, man. Like, it's a lot of fun. Even DL laughed. I even got a chuckle from the man. He's like a stony-faced killer over here.
Yeah, Stone Man.
But apparently there is another story, DL. Now, I think you're going to like this. That another, yet again, duffel bag of cocaine was in the ocean this time and apparently was eaten by a great white shark.
This isn't a true story, though.
I think it's based on, again,
Who would have any recollection?
I don't know. But apparently Elizabeth Banks is down to host direct again. She's in for the ride for all the cocaine-based animal.
Why wouldn't she be? She's probably made a bunch of money.
I assume Cocaine Bear was like a string shoe budget. Like,
it's funny that this is what she chose to like. What else has she directed?
I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of something. She did like the Charlie's Angels remake. She's done a few things.
She's a great actress.
I like her a lot. I don't love the movie she's directed though.
But it's weird that like that's what you choose.
I feel like she found a niche and she went, stick into this. Stick.
I don't know. I feel like she's got enough street cred. Isn't she like married to Judd Apatow? No, she's not.
Imagine like Jaws on cocaine is all I'm thinking. So it's like instead it's like it's like
I fucking don't want to watch that movie.
Your heart would be going like this the whole time.
Like I already don't like sharks. Like
yeah, sharks terrifying.
Not a fan, dude.
So you wouldn't watch this. You wouldn't do it for the pod. I mean, you've already skipped out on Cocaine Bear. You can't skip on both. You got to pick one.
I just like those are both like really extreme predators.
Yeah,
I don't need cocaine. They're already scary enough.
I just remember.
Can you imagine just like freaking a great white shark with like crazier eyes and lockjaw? Like, fuck, dude. We don't need this in our life, man. Like,
I don't need that extra stress. Please don't come after me, Cocaine Shark.
Please don't.
I just remember a bit in the movie Cocaine Bear where like the bear just literally just like it's obviously supposed to be like satirical, but like effectively just falls into a line of cocaine. So just does a line. It's like, dude, like, come on. We get a satire, but make it a little bit more.
Nah.
You know.
Not that film.
As is. Look, did you also hear this week, DL, that apparently Warner Brothers, we're going a completely different direction for this one. I'm just taking you on
yada.
Taking you on a tour of different things. Apparently, Warner Brothers are doing all they can to reel Peter Jackson back into doing anything Lord of the Rings. Anything at this point.
I don't know what they have the rights to.
Well, I mean, none of us do.
But like, there's no more things to do.
Well, let's Google it. What can Warner Brothers do with Lord of the Rings? Warner Bros., through New Line Cinema, has held the movie rights to Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit since the 90s. So
just the books.
Well, to make movies, so they can't make TV shows. They can't make that side of things. So I wonder if they will find some weird niche part of the story to do a spin-off from.
But I guess my point is it the similarity? No, it looks like it's just the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it's just those two, which is interesting. I think there's plenty you can do with those. Like, imagine they did like a spin-off of Gimli and Legolas going on an adventure. Would you watch that?
If it was based off the source material, if it's just some friggin' Hollywood dude, no.
I can't tell you that, DL, but would you like to see Peter Jackson returning to this franchise that nearly killed
Didn't
the poor
he do
guy?
The Hobbit as well, and it wasn't good.
Well, I think the Hobbit was supposed to be being done by Guillermo del Toro, and they changed their minds at the last minute. I think they wanted to make it a trilogy instead of 2 movies, and he was like, fuck this, guys, I'm out. And then they just dragged Peter Jackson in at the last minute, who just had to do a bunch of green screen stuff, and it just wasn't what the previous ones were, was it?
Well, no, if you're trying to make 3 movies out of what should have been barely 1.
Like barely even a 1 movie.
Yeah. I mean, there's ways to make it 2 that they could have expanded on, but not what they did. You know
Interesting.
What I mean?
Yeah, no,
you
not
could have
ways.
explored the dynamics between the dwarves and the elves more.
Totally.
Like, yeah.
Well, that's why you get your Legolas and Gimli movie.
Yes.
What did I say last time? Definitely said Legolas and Gimli. Look, I'd like to see more from Peter Jackson in this world. I'm not sure what, though, like you say. It needs some sort of, like, lore to it, something steeping it into Lord of the Rings. I don't just want to see, I don't know, X person's script with the Lord of the Rings typed 100%. Over the front,
well, and the other scary part is, like, now you got 2 people owning, like, the content.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like, they're not going to coordinate. Like,
totally.
It just doesn't seem, well, I don't know why they did that. They should have sold it to one person.
You know what I'd love to see? Yeah. An A24 Lord of the Rings movie. Now, that would be interesting.
I don't think I want that.
I would love that.
I don't think I would.
Why not? Talk to me.
I just don't. What is that going to... Lord of the Rings is supposed to be epic. A24 is not going to make this like epic. They're going to make it weird.
They did that Macbeth. Yeah, it'd be weird as hell. But think the Green Knight. Think like that Macbeth movie.
That's not what Lord of the Rings is.
I want that.
Just go make another Green Knight.
The Hobbits would be all weird and twisted. Oh, it'd be so much fun. Better than what they did on Amazon.
There's other fantasy things to adapt.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, like, in the plethora of like the world's fantasy books, it's weird they keep going back to the same ones. I mean, over and over.
It's just money, isn't it? I guess.
Totally. But I guess whenever I feel like they take the wrong lessons out of trying new things. Like they'll try a new thing, it won't work, and instead of being, oh, we gave it 0 marketing budget, or we got the wrong director, it's fantasy books don't work. We can only make Lord of the Rings spin-offs forever. Do you know what I mean? It's like. I get it. Take the right lessons from these things, right?
I mean, like it's easier to do a Lord of the Rings spin-off that's bad and still make money than it is to like take a risk on something new. Like I think that's the.
You just answered your own question.
I don't know if that's actually true, but that's definitely the perception.
I can see that. I mean, I assume the Lord of the Rings on Amazon didn't make money because it was so expensive. No. It was like $1 billion or something.
No way it made money.
Yeah, like not a chance.
What is it? $2 for Prime?
Is it that cheap?
I don't know what it is. Let's say it's $10
like
per month.
20 or something.
Whatever it is, it's for just Prime Video. There's not a chance that it covered the $8 billion, whatever the fuck they spent.
That's so true. It's the first ever $1 billion TV show. Look, we're getting stuck in semantics here. Did you hear this week, DL? Now, you remember our, and I'm going to call it, we pushed this, our fantastic #Save Daredevil campaign. It finally worked. Disney are picking back up. Daredevil's coming back to the small screen in Born Again, and it's bringing back Charlie Cox.
And parking lots.
And corridors, and being blind. But did you also hear this week, DL, that John Bernthal has been roped in to come back as the Punisher?
I mean, there was like no doubt in my mind that he would.
None at all. It's
more just because A, they're going to pay him a shit ton of money.
Probably it's Disney.
B, he's perfect for the role.
And also,
I would hope though that they maintain some artistic integrity.
Big time. And he's got to be R-rated. He's got to be a little R-rated. He can't. It's the Punisher, man. He like
they're not
kills people for fun.
They won't do an R-rated movie, I don't think.
Well, they're doing Deadpool. That's going to be R-rated.
Logan.
No, Deadpool. Deadpool 3
Logan
is coming.
Was R-rated, wasn't it?
That was previous. That was Fox. That didn't sit with the MCU stuff. I think the thing that's most interesting about this is that yes, he is coming back, but they are not bringing back the guys who played Foggy Nelson or Karen Page. So. Like, they're halfway going towards making a story that we're going to recognize. I don't
understand why they'd do that.
Well, I don't know. Like, he was...
Unless they have, like, an ace in the whole casting.
The guy who played Foggy was a little bit boring.
I kind of thought he was a bit annoying.
That's what I'm saying. Very annoying.
Maybe they're just like, we can do better.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. But I quite liked Karen Noth. I thought she was good in this. She went on to bigger and better things. She was in God of War Ragnarok.
I vaguely remember her.
But my favorite thing about John Bernthal is he is like peaking right now. He's like the high.
He's peaked.
People love him at the
peaking.
moment.
Maybe he's still peaking.
That's what I mean.
He's been good.
He's great. He seems like a good human being as well. I mean, unless he gets cancelled, in which case I didn't say that.
I think that he's definitely got a pass. But he's like a guy. He was like an alcoholic.
Right.
There's like he's like turned. He's like one of those people that like has had their epiphany.
Turned it around.
Yeah,
that's so cool. I much appreciate that. That's good for him. I think it's one of those things whereby sometimes a second chance. It's good to get that second chance. It's clearly worked out for him. So
I think he did a podcast on that.
He's done. Topic. It's really annoying because he's done a lot of podcasts at the moment, and a lot of podcasts are getting John Bernthal on them, and I'm like, I'd love to have John Bernthal on our podcast. Come on, that goddamn podcast, John Bernthal.
He's very
good,
smart.
good bloke, and I think he markets himself very well.
I think he's just real.
That's what I mean.
He's a real dude.
He's a real dude, and I'm looking forward to seeing him return as the Punisher, Frank Castle, in this upcoming Daredevil show, which I am actually really excited about, to be quite frank with you, DL.
I'm excited, but I am doubtful that they'll go full.
I don't think they'll go full corridor on this. I think it'll be a watered down version.
You can't water him down though. That's the point. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, anyway, if you guys have heard anything this week that we haven't talked about, we only talk about a very small subsection of the news. So hit us up. Let us know at podcastassemble or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. We love it when you hit us up. We love it when you send us memes. We haven't had memes for a while. Maybe we need to bring memes back.
Who needs memes?
It's been a while.
Before we go into our main topic, did you see that James Gunn reconfirmed that he was talking with Henry Cavill about other DC roles?
Oh my God, really?
What's the point?
Which roles?
What's the point?
There are no more roles for Henry Cavill.
You'd never do it.
He would be...
How dumb would that be?
Maybe he's talking Old Man Superman.
It's the only...
Like literally
only acceptable outcome.
Or some sort of Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover type thing where he comes back for a movie.
They sound too smart.
What other movies could he be? I mean, there are plenty of just jacked up superheroes, right?
Yeah, but like you can't cast him. Go get a different wrestler.
The regular like movie audience is like, I'm so confused.
It's not even about confusion. It's just you're trying to create this new era. Like, do not cast the old Superman as someone else.
Who else did that? Like, who else do they bring in? Like, all the big actors have like got camps now. They're either with DC or they're with Marvel at this point.
It's good for actors, man.
Some actors, not all of them. Some actors really hate it.
I don't know. Michael Douglas, well, he's like twiddling with ants, just makes a million of fucking
horny Ant-Man. We talked about last week. Go check out our Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania episode. There's some gold in there. DL, do you want to preface our main topic this week?
I do. We are entering into anthology territory.
Number 57.
Whatever anthology we're on.
We have so many anthologies. I've called this one... this one is called... I've got it. Sorry, let me finish. This is called the original movies that are getting from movies to getting rebootuations.
The original movies of our newfound rebootuations. Of
upcoming rebootuations. That's better.
That's a lot of words.
Let's try and say this one more time. The original movies of upcoming rebootuations. There's a lot of them though.
Yes. I still think there's a way to say that better, but I'm going to digress.
Well, someone tell us.
I haven't figured it out. We're doing Indiana Jones.
Oof. And, you know how excited I am to Indiana Jones.
The Raiders of the Lost Ark, which, by the way, like a great name for the film. It's pretty spot on.
1981.
It sounds kind of cool.
We're going to do full spoilers, by the way,
summary.
guys. And before we start, why don't you tell me what your connection with the movie is? When did you first see it?
Hard to say because they all blend together for me.
Okay, yeah.
I actually think I saw Temple of Doom first,
which is the most terrifying one.
And that's
also a prequel.
Is it?
Yeah, apparently so. I didn't realize that.
I had no idea. But I do remember how freaky it was. And I remember
the heart thing.
And I remember being like, I don't want to watch these because I was a kid. And then like the next one I saw like midway through the intro scene where you see like a dead body.
Oh.
Or you know.
That's this one, right?
This one, yeah. So I saw that like randomly before like knowing what I was watching. It was like every one of these is so I actually don't think I'd watched this front to back.
Interesting.
I think I'd seen like the airplane scene a bunch. I remember playing with toys, reenacting that airplane brawl.
I never had toys from this, but that's real interesting.
I just pretend. I just used that as an image.
Okay. Yeah, childhood imagination.
For my setting of my other toy battles.
I grew up with this movie. We've talked about this so many times. Like, there's like a very select... I grew up with fucking VHSs, right? I'm old. There's a very select number of VHSs we had, which I watched regularly. One of which was Star Wars. One of which was this. And I would watch these movies so frequently. I just love them. But like you, like it kind of do meld together a little bit in my mind. So sometimes when I watch back, I'm like, oh, this bit's in this one.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I did remember the scene where he just shoots him. There's like random things where I was like, I've seen this before.
Love that scene. Well, do you want to give me your stupid plot summary for Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Yes. The typical tenured professor absolutely mails in his teaching job for a side hobby.
I really like that.
Didn't do much teaching.
I like that a lot. This one's a little bit of a niche one, but Indy hates snakes and loves punching Nazis. Even if he has no bearing on the outcome of the actual movie, he still looks cool doing it. And now I had my mind blown by that fact, as a lot of people did, by The Big Bang Theory, that he has no bearing on the end of the movie. None at all. If he wasn't in this, the same thing would happen all the way through. So like the Nazis would still find the chest, they'd still take it to the island, they'd still open it, and they'd still all die. If Indy wasn't in it, they'd just do it quicker.
Maybe the U.S. wouldn't capture it in the end.
Yeah,
that's the only difference.
The only difference is that, he was technically supposed to take it to the museum, and it ended up with the CIA. So he really has barely any.
I just mean like it could have just been left in the middle of the desert.
That's true. Yeah, that's actually fair enough. Yeah. All right, before we get into this, DL, do you want to guess for me the IMDb score?
That's a hard one. I mean, I guess it's got to be high. It's classic. 8.8.
Oof, 8.4. You're so close.
I was going to go 8.5. Damn.
Interesting. Keep that in mind. What do you reckon the Rotten Tomato score was?
85.
And next one, that was 96, which I actually think Rotten Tomatoes coming back in my, really saving itself in my opinion.
Really?
Metacritic.
You realize the Shadow and Bone was 98.
Yeah, I know.
It's higher than Indiana Jones. Then now it's got to be 85.
It's 85% on Metacritic. I find that really interesting. Like, Metacritic never gets that high. We've talked about like 2 movies that have broken past 80 in our entire time.
I mean, it's indie, man.
It's true. And this is the original, and it's directed, obviously, by Steven Spielberg. And there's a big writing credit here for George Lucas. It's like a power couple. It's like, when they get like a super group together of
Was George Lucas involved?
Yeah, he was one of the writers on the movie.
Wow.
Yeah. Him and Spielberg were big buddies. And it's obviously got Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones, who, by the way, like, when you just see a perfect piece of casting, like this is it. But he's got like 2 of these. So
he's at his most handsome.
He's his most rugged, he's his most handsome.
Peak handsome Ford.
He's got like a machismo to him, but it's not like in your face. It's just you just think he's probably got a good musk about him. But anyway, it's got Karen Allen as Marion. It's got a bunch of cool actors, a lot of people. He
probably does have a good musk.
He probably does.
Like a polish and whiskey or some shit. What I will say is it's interesting. Like, he is an asshole.
Yeah, big time.
Pretty much the entire movie.
We'll talk about it. He's not your typical hero.
No, he's an asshole. He doesn't change much either.
Do you want to jump into one of our favorite segments, which I've been bringing back a bit recently? It is called The Goofiest of IMDb Pictures.
I do.
Now, do you remember our new MVP, who is Mark Oliver Everett, who is Jogger with Dog from last week's movie?
He's like
do you want to explain that?
Aviator pretending to be Limp Bizkit with a vape.
Yeah, it's as if
a microphone.
One of the Jackass boys was trying to do a Limp Bizkit video.
Yes.
Is that easy? Yeah, I think that's about right. This week we have a real contender, DL. A real goddamn contender. And I love this. So this, I haven't said this out loud, so this is hard to say. Sonny Caldineth? Sonny Caldineth, who plays a mean Mongolian. Do you want to explain that picture?
He looks like a disgusted or confused, maybe a disappointed pimp. He doesn't look like a Mongolian.
Definitely disappointed.
He looks like a 70s disappointed pimp who watches westerns.
He's got a great afro, a great handlebar, and he's sort of doing like a pose, like, I don't know, like what?
He's just what do you want about kind of face.
What are you saying here? Yeah, what's happening here?
Like, go kick rocks.
So DL,
yeah,
are we sticking with our current MVP, Mark Oliver Everett, or are we going with the challenger, Sonny Caldineth?
I like Sonny.
You like Sonny? Me too. Sonny. I really like Sonny. I'm glad you chose
I think
that
it actually is a good IMDb pick, though. He's showing off his emotiveness.
We should really have explained goofy IMDb picture. Yeah. It isn't to make fun of people's IMDb pictures. It kind of is a little bit, but it's not to be like, this dude's ugly or this dude has big ears. It's to be like, this is the first picture people see of you when they search on the internet.
Is this really what you wanted?
Why is this your like main picture of
So
yourself.
to be fair, I'm mainly just laughing because of like the emotions that he's displaying in this picture, which is actually probably a good highlight of his acting ability. So I don't think that it's fair for him to win, but he's won nonetheless.
I just think my first reaction to it was that I just giggled. So I was like, that's a goofy IMDb picture. If I'm laughing at it, it's a goofy IMDb picture.
Yeah.
All right, then. Shall we talk a little bit about this movie, DL?
We shall.
What happens in this film?
Indiana Jones, a sexy teacher turned bullwhipper turned museum knick-knack lost and found guy, stumbles into a Nazi plot to uncover one of the greatest religious mysteries of all time. The location of the Ark, as described in the good old testy.
Ark of... The Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah.
My favorite testy.
Sorry, the Ark of the Covenant. Not the Ark of the Covenant, because that could be confused with Noah's Ark, which is also an Old Testament. Multiple Old Testy
so many
greatest hits.
Yeah.
You know?
The greatest hits of the Bible.
Yeah.
He kind of likes that.
Did you ever have to read the Bible growing up?
I didn't. I went to church for way longer than I can.
So did I, but old Catholic school, at one point, we had to read the Old Testament. He's a mean motherfucker, God, in the Old Testament, bro.
He's real rough.
It's a very different...
Yeah.
He transitions well into the New Testament.
Yeah, he's
not really in. He's kind of a behind the scenes guy. But
when he comes back as like the artist formerly known as God, like he's way more chill.
Yahweh is not looking out for Yahweh.
Look, we're getting way off topic and probably offending a lot of people. The first thing I thought about this, and I completely agree with all you said, like Indiana Jones, like he's not the hero we deserve. He's the hero we need right now. I fucking love this film. Like this is a huge part of my childhood. And yeah, he's just effortlessly cool.
Yeah.
There's something about him that I just love.
Yeah, I mean, and like, I just think about if somebody made a movie like this now.
Yeah.
It's doable. There's parts that probably wouldn't be, but it's mostly doable. But who would you cast? Like, if you didn't cast the right person, it's like not doable at all.
I don't think many actors have that type of charisma in Hollywood right now. I can't think of one who's got that. Like, he has a soft side to him. Like, he is a macho man, but he certainly has a soft side to him as well, which I find really
charming.
Yeah, exactly that. That's one of the things I've written. Like, the theme of the thing, the outfit, the rugged, like, the charm.
Yeah, he's charming.
It's all the things that make Indiana Jones.
He's a charmer.
It's beautiful. It's a damn good movie.
It is.
But who would you cast as him now? This is actually nice foreshadowing for the end of the episode.
Really hard.
Yeah. I for some reason just got Jai Courtney in my head, and that's the wrong person to because he is not the actor for this.
I don't know. Like I think that it's the initial person that it came to mind that I'm now second guessing is the guy we were just talking about for the Punisher. But he's too dark.
Yeah.
I've never seen him play charming. I mean, I've seen him be charming, but it's always manipulative.
Interesting.
For the characters he's played, it's not like his true self.
I don't see him as like a traditionally handsome bloke though, whereas I'd say
he's not. He's a little bit more hard.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely had a hard paper around growing up.
I was gonna say like another one like Jake Gyllenhaal, but again, like
probably too
the
handsome.
roles he's too handsome, and the roles he does are too dark.
Did you see him this week? He's super ripped to play like a UFC fighter. He has got jacked.
Yeah, he likes to work out. It's like his thing, I think.
I can see where you're coming from, though. I think maybe he's
where
almost
I'm
a bit
trying
too weird.
to try.
Yeah.
I just don't. Neither of those are correct.
I feel like there's someone in there.
But like, if you keep digging,
you need like a coolness. You need a sexiness, but also
it's Momoa.
I guess okay, maybe. But maybe he's too buff.
But he's too buff.
It's like
he's not. If he was skinnier.
Yeah, we don't have many everyday action heroes anymore,
right? Like you're not threatened if you're Jason Momoa.
I'm threatened if you're Jason Momoa.
No, you are. But like the viewer isn't worried.
Yeah, okay.
Is what I'm
that's what you mean.
Yeah, like
you don't feel
like
danger.
Indiana Jones is a teacher.
He's a dude
with a whip.
Yeah, and he's a little buff, but he's like not exactly.
He's not buff. He's just fit.
He's just in good. Yeah, he's just fit. Exactly. There's not. Yeah, that's a really interesting conversation.
It's a hard one to pick.
I'm not entirely sure.
Hard to pick.
Yeah. So all right then. Well, let's talk about how this film opens because I was watching this opening, the first 10, maybe 15, and then up to the end of the first scene where the ball rolls after him.
Yeah.
And the whole time, all I could think was, this is one of the best openings I've ever watched in a movie. I learned more about him as a character in the first 10 minutes without seeing his face or hearing him speak than you do about some of the Marvel characters in like 10 movies in a row.
After 20-minute monologues?
Precisely. They could go on about their parents.
Narration monologues.
Yeah, they could literally be on like a psychiatrist's chair telling us their entire life. And I still know more about this guy's motivations, his character. It's just so delicious.
It's also just a really fun first 15
yeah,
minutes.
absolutely.
20 minutes.
So good.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it then. So, like, you're effectively introduced to him, and they're going through what looks like an Aztec type temple.
You're introduced to like a really rugged jungle.
You're in a jungle, yeah.
Like all the birds
It's
quacking.
like, what? What's happening?
You know what I mean? Like, it's like these fucking
You just do that the whole way
echidnas and all sorts of weird noises.
Big time.
And they're worried about like poison darts. You're like, this is like, ooh, cool.
Yeah. And you get the feeling of this fearless adventurer who you've not even met yet, because the guys who he's with are clearly like scared of the environment. They're, you know, like they're trying to turn back and they're trying to talk him out of it, whereas he's just, let's do this. And
Pretty confident.
Yeah, and like there's bits when like you hear the one guy clocking his gun and he just even flinch, just gets his gun out, whips it out of his hand. It's like, even when he's been double crossed, immediately you're seeing that he's completely fearless. It's amazing. Yep. So well done.
It is.
And I really think it's like a testament to how good a director Steven Spielberg is. He is obviously an amazing director.
I mean, this is like, you know, back when the previous movies that were made, I think, before like the 70s and the 80s, like there's a big jump.
Yeah.
Between like the really, really good movies
absolutely.
in the 70s and 80s to like what was made in the 60s.
Totally.
In terms of like technical and storytelling, and like you could just tell he was at his like most inspired at a time when like that could do the most create the most change, I think.
And the opening, like it progresses, and it's actually an opening that I've watched so many times in my life, but I get excited every time I see it. So he gets he's effectively trying to take this idol, which is a gold head, and he gets it, but then he gets double crossed by the guy who's leading him there, and then effectively he runs away from a giant rolling ball, which has been memed a million times.
The boulder.
Yeah, but then the most interesting thing I find about this is then you immediately meet his like antithesis. You meet like his adversary to the film, the French guy, Balok, I think he's called. And it's like, this dude's the complete polar opposite. Like, yeah, okay, he's a bit fearless, but at the same time, like, he's getting everyone else to do his dirty work. He's, you know, he's sneaky and he's like stealing from the guy who's just done all the hard work. And I just love the juxtaposition of the two immediately at the beginning of this film.
Same. And there's just enough similar about them that they're a good foil to each other.
Totally. It's chef's kiss. It's beautiful. And then you obviously, at the beginning of the film, my favorite part is it rolls in and you get to see him. You get this complete whip crack change like that, change of pace. Mm-hmm. And then you just see him as a school teacher. Like, what's happening?
Only for about 5 minutes.
Of course. Yeah.
He's on tenure, right?
And I've literally had, you know, the bit where the girl's blinking and she just has love you on her eye. I
which is an absurd thing to do.
Mental. But
get her to a hospital. Like,
he's a good-looking man. It's
it's
clearly not tattooed.
That's not the way to do it.
It's clearly not tattooed. It's clearly just drawn on.
Even worse, like would she do that herself?
You can wipe it off.
I don't. But like, why not just write a note?
Give an apple.
Like what?
Just carve "I love you" into an apple.
Flirt playfully.
I love it.
I don't know.
I love it. And this is where the film really kicks off in terms of the arc, right? He gets accosted by, I think, the CIA.
Yeah.
A couple of CIA guys.
That.
Yeah.
FBI,
special agents of description. And they're asking him to try and get the Ark of the Covenant before the Nazis do. And we're introduced in that beautiful moment to like the foil of him the whole way through these movies, which is the Nazis, and I bloody love that. Like, the Nazis are just such a perfect foil to any real superhero, right?
Yeah. Look, the Nazis, and this is like they are and were and will always be a pretty easy villain target,
Big
right?
time.
You know, and naturally, and this is like at a top, but they are kind of like what's the word I'm looking for, like tropey Nazis.
Completely.
Like, they're not trying to actually investigate anything about
not doing anything new.
The beliefs of that and what caused it and how that actually. They're just trying to have an evil villain
just
that's an anti. Yeah, it's like the classic bad guy.
Totally. I don't feel like they needed to.
Not then, but if you made this movie now, I'd be like, that's shallow. Do something.
We'll find out.
You know what I mean, though. Like
Indy 5 comes out.
I would expect them to do something new and more with it today, because that's been done to death.
I think they're going to give layers to Mads Mikkelsen's character somehow. But before we move on to the performances, then let's talk just a little bit about the stakes of this movie. So we've obviously talked about it being about the Ark of the Covenant. You know, this mythical like source of power that can help Hitler take over the world, which I find fascinating. But at the same time, like it still feels really small and like it just feels like such a personal and contained story. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, no, it is. And it's like a weird little world that like I didn't know existed. All these,
Totally.
you know, it feels like you're getting introduced into this little sect of society that cares about like weird artifacts.
Totally. Well, archaeologists.
Yeah,
Do
basically.
you know any archaeologists?
Well, now I do, because recently I've also been into this whole space with, you know, that Graham Hancock
Oh,
stuff.
of course, yeah. But I mean, that doesn't make you an archaeologist, my man.
Not
You're
at
not
all.
going out digging every
Not
weekend.
at all. But my point is, like, it's you know, I agree. It's small in its scale.
It's beautiful.
Sure.
It's really nicely positioned to have like a real laser focus on him, but this bigger story in the background. So Indy then goes off to Nepal to meet Marion, who we'll talk about when we get to performances just as we're getting there, essentially to find the headpiece of a staff that can point them in the direction of where the Ark is buried, right?
That's what we're told.
And it's a great time to talk about performances because I really like that Marion character. I think she's really spunky and feisty. I think she's got a great like vigor to her.
She is. She does have a lot of spunk, and she is. I feel like she's like the tropey American.
I feel like there's
female of this era,
and I've written this down. I feel like there's a big missed opportunity with her because she goes from being, like I say, this spunky, feisty, you know, like you say, like quintessential American dream woman, you know, who don't need no man, to being like, you know, a bit of a simp for Indy by the end of it. It's a bit like her character almost devolves as it goes through.
Well, they can have a bit of both, you know?
I mean, yeah,
people simp, people also do have individualism, and they, you know, experience changes their vulnerabilities to being more, you know, open with people. I don't know. I liked her character overall.
Me too.
I thought they gave her quite a lot of like agency, even when they were making Indy. It was,
Totally.
you know what I mean? Like, even though she was being sidelined, they were like, you didn't really, you sided with her. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you were like, you're kind of an asshole, dude.
Yeah, he is an asshole. Like that, like, well, we're going to talk about it in a minute, but the bit where Indy goes to like free her when she's captured, and he just goes like, actually, if I free you, they'll know.
That was the worst part.
So, I mean, look, we'll get to it, but I think Harrison Ford, I mentioned some earlier, he's made for this role, right? Like his whole performance all the way through is just so spot on. He's got this gruffness to him that's just hard to replicate.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who's got that. We've talked about that. I'm not going to get back into it again.
I don't think we do. I don't think that exists, mate.
One thing I do love is you talked about the portrayal of the Nazis. I think there are a couple to call out. So there's Roland Lacey, who's Todt. He's the dude who, in this scene we're talking about, so what happens in this scene is the Nazis break in to try and steal this amulet first, and a big fight breaks out. Indy's fighting against a bunch of them and a bunch of Mongolians as well, and the amulet actually falls into a fire, and this one Nazi dude tries to grab it. He's already taken his glove off for some stupid reason. I'm not totally sure why, and it's so hot it like burns the thing onto his hand. It's like he literally burns the amulet onto his hand.
Yeah.
And that guy,
I remember that.
That Ronald Lacey guy is the quintessential Nazi for me.
Is he like the same guy that plays the Nazi in Winter Soldier?
He kind of feels like
you know
it,
what I
doesn't
mean?
he?
I know he's not.
He's got a vibe about
but like
him.
he reminds me exactly of that.
I feel
guy.
like he's just got a look.
But you know what I'm talking about? The guy that turns into the supercomputer or whatever.
Yeah, it's not him.
I know it's not him, but isn't it like the same dude? Like
he's got a similar look to him, definitely.
Yeah.
Like that very, I don't know. There's something like smarmy about him. He's got like this sort of like, I don't know. I don't even know how, like he makes my skin crawl whenever I see him, but he's kind of cheesy at the same time.
No,
do you know what I mean?
He's a perfect fit for this movie.
He really is. I really like his performance. And some of the other guys, I mean, we mentioned Belloc before, the arch rival of Indiana Jones. Like whenever he crops up in this,
annoying
like
French guy.
Yeah. He's just perfectly cast.
Yeah.
And we talked about the scene later on in the film when the fly, like last week actually, when the fly like crawls into his mouth.
I was looking for it and I didn't see it.
It's right at the end. It's so good.
I really like the Egyptian guy who who's like the expert, you know, digger. That guy played a really cool.
John Rhys Davies as Salah. I love him. I think he crops up in. I think he's coming back for the new one as well.
Oh, really?
He's really great. I like him a lot. We'll talk about Kylo in just a sec. The other person I do enjoy as well is Brody, who's like his bumbling like friend at the university. I think he's just got a real like quaintness to him that's really fun. And in later movies, he comes back and he is that bumbling idiot. And it's just...
Well, it makes sense. Museums aren't run by like,
Totally.
Well, I shouldn't say they're not intelligent, but like they're people that would be really obsessed with this obscure thing, right? They're not going to be this like corporate sharp.
Well, it's like anything. They're like they have their specific knowledge pattern, right? And that's what they're into. And I just think overall, like the casting of this movie is just like chef's kiss. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So as the movie then moves on, like I said, Mariam's captured. Then they go to Cairo. What are they doing in Cairo?
Well, they try and find
they try and find the Ark.
Yeah, they're trying to find the Ark. They try and find a digger to tell them where the Ark is. They get into a couple scuffles. Indy thinks his woman's dead.
I like the staff scene. I really like the scene where... So what happens is they find that like a map of the city on the floor, this lost city. And because the Nazis only have half of the amulet because it was burnt onto the guy's hand, they don't realize that the staff's too tall. So the staff says like, it's got to be 6 feet high or whatever. And then on the back of it, the side that isn't burnt in his hand, it says like, and then take away, I think it's a foot for...
So they're looking in the wrong spot.
So they're literally looking... It's so well done. It's great. And then obviously Indy finds the Well of Souls, which is this big snake-filled temple.
Which, by the way... They're just living there for thousands of years.
Yeah.
Are these snakes like eating? Are they cannibalistic?
Great question. Well, they're coming. You can see them coming in through the wall,
and then they just keep eating each other.
Do they just keep dying?
And then like the bigger ones
and
survive.
Then they eat the eggs.
I don't know.
Oh, that's creepy. Oh man, you make some really awkward
points.
Like the
snake eating the snake.
Yeah. Oh,
like
that
old,
like
the old
infinity symbol.
Yeah.
There's no symbolism
there,
but that's gone on a tangent. Yeah. But what do you think about the pacing then of the movie overall? We kind of touched on it before.
I enjoyed it for the most part, but I did think the end dragged a bit.
Right.
I thought there was like 3 Nazi chase endings in the last 30 minutes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So one's on a boat, one's when they're in
one's in the temple.
Okay.
Was like a Nazi chase, like gotcha battle climax there.
Yeah.
One's in the boat or on the submarine.
Yeah, they're on the boat, then he chases him to the submarine.
Then one's in the canyon. So there's and they're all within like 20 minutes of each other.
And 10
minutes of each other. It's like boom, 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 boom. I'm like, okay, how many times are they going to like run into the Nazis, get away, run into you know what I mean? It was kind of like, okay, maybe cut one of those.
We'll talk about it in a minute, but I really like the subversion of trope. He thinks he's getting away with that, and this is what happens next. So
I didn't mind that one. That one makes sense, and it's also the submarine.
And then the U-boat just rocks up and is like, hello.
Yeah, and that's like a known Nazi
totally
or German power at that
Sneaking
point.
Was
their U-boats? So
totally, I kind of agree with you, and now you explain it that way. But I feel like this movie's got so little fat to it. Like the only thing I would cut personally would be like when they're in Cairo and they just kind of hang. The bit I'd cut. The bit where Marion ends up in like it's not a vase. What is it? It's like a what even is it? It's like a basket, or like a wicker basket thing. And then they're doing almost like the Scooby-Doo thing where there's 2 guys running with the wicker basket, and then there's 1,000 wicker baskets. And she's in one. I'm like, that didn't work for me. It's like, you're trying to put comedy in this? Like, what's happening in this scene?
Well, they just needed to find a way to get Indy on his own for a bit. Well, they didn't actually really need to.
No, they didn't at all.
So they could have found a million ways for her to get captured.
They could have just grabbed her and run away with her. They didn't have to put her in a basket for something.
No, I just meant in general. Like, why did they have those guys go battle them? Mainly to get her to be separated from Indy.
Let's come back to this scene because I want to talk a bit about it in action because there's actually some really fun bits to it. I do like the idea, and there's one part of this scene which irks me and is going to come up later. It's the monkey. There's something about it, and I've just always fucking hated that monkey.
Dates? Well,
the monkey dies because it eats the date.
I like that scene.
I like that scene too, and it shows who Indy can and can't trust. I like that a lot, but the monkey man, it keeps like switching allegiances. One moment it's their mate, then it's not, and then it's like it's with some one-eyed guy or something. I'm like, make up your mind, monkey. Like, you don't deserve to even be in this film. I don't know why.
Follows where the food's at, bro.
It's always irked me, that weird little monkey.
You got.
I know, right?
You always have something like that.
Yeah, I know. But it does. But the reason I like the bits in Cairo is because he kind of learns who you can trust. Like, he obviously knows, but I feel like he really finds who his friends are in that exact moment. So you mentioned it before. They get away. They're thinking they've escaped with the Ark, and then they intercept him on the boat. And it's a great time to talk about the cinematography and world building in this film. It goes through so many different places. it makes me laugh because he kind of, for me, this movie invented for me that sort of like, the aeroplane going in lines and going to different places, and then you're all of a sudden you're in Cairo.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
And I think everywhere's really well fleshed out, and you get a really good feel of everywhere you visit.
Just the supporting cast is pretty interesting.
Agreed.
Like the boat captain was like this weird, like dude, like
Cool
just
dude.
really, really good character. The Egyptian digger was great, and then you've got like the museum. Like it's just got every supporting
Variety.
character. Just is really well imagined.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
well cast. Like and you're
Everyone
like
feels really.
It fits the vibe.
Like they all feel like they've got a good backstory. You know what I mean? They all feel really lived in. As a weird thing to say.
It fits the tone, like all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it, and it doesn't. I feel like it doesn't age it, even though it's clearly an old film. I feel like it's kind of timeless in a sense. Like it doesn't. Like everyone now would have mobile phones and stuff, and what's the point of walking around with a whip and such? But like it just has this sort of feeling of like it hasn't aged for me at all.
No, I agree. I mean, there's certain parts where I'm like, but like overall, it's a timepiece. It's
a globe.
It's okay for what it. Yeah, it's okay for.
Yeah.
Like the parts that would age badly, like they don't, because it's like it was at the perfect moment. I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
When it was done.
Really, really perfectly timed delivery of the movie, and so all right, then let's move on with the plot then. So. Because I really want to talk about action, because action's probably one of my favorite parts of this movie, and then maybe music.
You really like those punching noises.
Oh, yes, I did, my man. So they've obviously, the Nazis have intercepted. We're obviously skipping through the plot quite quickly, but like they decide to take the Ark to an island to test whether it is actually the Ark of the Covenant. So they don't want to piss off the Fuhrer, right? They don't want to piss off Hitler. So they're like, let's just test it. Let's go and make sure it's the real deal here, guys.
So they saved a lot of lives by just testing it with him.
Well, exactly. And this is where it does go a bit like sci-fi, supernatural.
I kind of like that about this, though.
Me
it's
too.
like The Mummy. Like, there's not enough, sci-fi.
Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, like kind of 1920s to 50s.
Totally.
Setting movies.
Not in a hokey way either, in like a good...
It's hard to not make it hokey.
Yeah, well, this has done that did a really good job, for example. And then you see the unleashing of the power of the Ark, and it basically like melts everyone on the scene. Maybe it's such an 80s throwback, that scene where all the Nazis
That's the
melt.
only part where it was really, you could see, like it aged.
You could tell.
Yeah, I mean, it was bad.
I still like it.
I don't know.
Really scared. I watched this way too young, and it scared the shit out of me.
The concept of it is entirely frightening. The execution of the special effects nowadays, I was kind of like,
It is a throwback, but in like a really good way, and I genuinely really like it. So let's talk a bit more about action. I talked about it before, and there's a lot of really fun, interesting bits. And one of my, I didn't want to use this for like trivia or anything, but one of my favorite like parts of the movie is the bit you mentioned before, where they're in Cairo, and Indiana Jones is chasing after Marion. He's in the street, and he's faced up by this dude who's got this massive sword, and he's swinging it around. He looks super cool, super fly. And Indiana Jones is like, shit, what am I going to do? And he just thinks, hang on a minute, I've got a gun. He just like shoots the guy.
Did you know the story behind that?
Yeah, I was about to say, you want to go?
It's something about like they had this big orchestrated choreographed sword fight.
Yeah.
And didn't Harrison Ford get like injured or something? Or like they just decided, or they ran out of budget or something like that.
So Harrison Ford, this is IMDb, so it's got to be right. Yeah. Harrison Ford was supposed to use his whip and get the sword out of the attacker's hands, but apparently a bunch of the crew, including Harrison Ford, got food poisoning.
Yeah.
So he was too sick to do the stunt, obviously. So after like it says after several unsuccessful attempts, like what did he do? Shit himself after trying a bunch of times, like what? And he just was like, apparently Harrison Ford was just like, why don't I just shoot him?
And then Steven Spielberg was like, that's actually a great idea.
That's perfect. And it's like, that's a really great character moment.
Yeah, it suits his character.
Totally. Like just outthinking whoever's in front of him, like at every step, and I really like that. That's actually one of my favorite action scenes in this whole film.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Did any action scene like stand out for you?
Not really in general. Like I think, there's the battle. I already talked about the fight on the Nazi airplane.
See, that's one that really stands out for me in this. I really like that. Talk to me more about that.
No, it was just like the setting's really cool. There's this big plane moving. There's like
it's going around in circles.
Yeah, it was a really good little hand-to-hand combat setting.
But there's the added there's added danger to it as well, right? So Marion is stuck in the plane. Plane lid shut on the lid, The cockpit is shut on her, but then also
there's gasoline.
There's
and
gasoline
fire,
rolling down to it,
and the plane's moving towards it, which means
Yeah.
everything blows up. There's just added tension because of the setting of the fight.
And the dude he's fighting is massive.
Yeah, unbelievable that Harrison Ford would win, but
Not even close. Well, he doesn't. He gets a crap kicked out of it. It's great.
Yeah, I guess he just didn't have. The other guy lost.
Yeah, Harrison Ford like
win.
falls down as if he's like, I give up, I surrender. Then like the plane wing just like chops him to bits. It's brutal. I love that scene.
Like the punch, like some of the choreographs, like you could tell it is the choreography. You could tell it is in the 80s.
Sure.
The punch noises. That
totally
kind of takes me out of it a bit.
Okay.
Sometimes, but overall, I liked it. It's not bad.
I'd say it's got a physicality to it that you don't see a lot of nowadays. Like it felt like, okay, there was the noises, but like it felt like he was being punched in the face way more than some of the things you watch today are.
I don't know. I didn't see it as like a bad. I'm not going to disagree. It didn't look bad, and a lot of fights at older movies look bad.
Okay,
you know what I mean? Like think about like Highlander.
I agree. You know what I mean? We need to go back to that. By the way.
So like, go check out our episode on the Highlander.
We should go do Highlander 2 at some point.
But you get my point. Like that just was terrible.
Totally.
Like this wasn't that, but it wasn't like, oh man, like it was just okay.
It wasn't The Matrix. Let's say that. I think it does lean into one of the themes in the movie, which is the like almost hyper masculinity of it. Like it is a super over the top. Like he's obviously like a fearless, always in control, like leading man. It's a man's movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
It's interesting because there's some think pieces about it now that actually criticize that a little bit in terms of like how like masculine it is. But the reason I like it and don't quite agree with some of those criticisms is because he's kind of an only man, and he does get his ass kicked in this movie, like a lot.
There's nothing wrong. Like I mean, like maybe people will get mad at me saying, I don't think there's anything wrong with being a manly man. Like it's just not in vogue right now. He is what he is, though. Like it's a character, you know what I mean? Like
totally,
and it's true to form. Like he's consistently that way. So call it flawed, call it bad. That's the character they're exploring, and they're consistent.
Well, and I said up top, like I think he does have a softness to him that he lets out in very small bursts.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that has been criticized because you do see that at times when he's like alone with Marion or whatever.
People criticize anything, man.
It's very true. So the movie then, before we get onto music, which I am excited for, the movie ends with effectively Indiana Jones delivering the Ark to the CIA guys and the US government, giving it to them to
put in their warehouse,
big warehouse
of
it's like how
secret
many
religious artifacts.
How many artifacts are there?
Yeah,
like what's
seriously.
happening here? I genuinely I really like that. Like it's a cool visual, even though it's
the ending. The visual ending is perfect. It's just so 80s, isn't it? Like,
yeah, totally.
But like good 80s, not bad.
Saying their top men are studying it. Yeah, okay. What are you studying?
Our top men.
Yeah,
with like his little corn on the cob pipe. Or, yeah.
I really love the music in this.
I mean, it is old Johnny Williams or whatever. What's his name? Is it
John Williams.
Yeah.
I mean, he is just. I don't know anyone better in the game.
It is very, very.
It's almost him versus Hans Zimmer at this point.
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
You know what we need to bring back?
They're very different. Hans Zimmer. He uses all those like.
Hans Zimmer. Yeah, I mean, but like literally the. No,
it's great.
It's a thing that I hum on a regular basis, genuinely regular basis.
I mean, like they're all very. I mean, I used to do it.
Catchy.
Yeah, they're all very like unique, but also they're all. You can tell it's made by the same guy.
Totally.
It's stylistically connected.
But then it's the same with Hans Zimmer. You can tell when it's 100%. Him. Like
I used to do this with my sister. Like something when we were a kid, we'd play the game. Like, listen to this, and tell me the movie it's from. And then I do Star Wars. Like, what is the opening?
Dun dun dun.
Well, there's that, but there's the beginning.
I know what you mean.
It's like more. It's now that you've done that one, I can't do it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
The very beginning.
Yeah.
Right when the credits roll.
Yeah.
And then there's like like the other one that was Jurassic. The first one I did was Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a long way
Star
way
Wars,
of
Indiana
saying
Jones.
you do all three, and no one can ever pick which one it is. They know that they're like, oh, it's a movie, and it's that. Is it Jurassic Park? And he does all of them. It's every single one of them is him.
And I'm never surprised it's him because he's just a perfectionist, man. He's amazing.
Yeah.
Look, this movie, as I mentioned up top, like Indiana Jones doesn't actually have a bearing on the end of this film, which makes it so much more interesting to me.
It's just funny,
but it is
he could have just taught and
exactly. He could have just gone to bed.
He could have been like, actually done his job.
I'm going on sabbatical, kids. You just read the textbooks.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think he tells them? Like, I'm going away for 3 months.
I don't think he get tenure. He doesn't have to tell them anything.
Brody jumps in, does classes for him.
Virtually impossible for them to.
Do you reckon a girl has "love you" on her eyes for Brody as well?
I think I don't know if they're tattoos. Yes.
She probably can't get rid of them. All right. Well, I mean, that's pretty much the movie then. So do you want to talk to me about tones and or themes?
Yeah. I mean, the only one I really had was American exceptionalism.
Yeah. Okay. Talk to me about that.
You know, and I guess there's multiple examples, right? We get to keep the hidden Ark thing and test it, even though we'll do better. The Nazis died, but we'll that kind of thing. Just in general, you know, America's kind of portrayed as like the heroes.
Living in America.
Yeah, in this, like, and then there was literally a line where she yells, "You can't do this to me! I'm an American!"
Oh my God!
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
When I heard that,
I do. Yeah.
I was just like, "Oh my God, that's kind of repulsive." It's like, kind of threw up a little in my mouth. You know, but there's definitely that.
I like that
theme.
I've actually got a one ripped straight from ChatGPT because I was interested to know what it thought. But my one was just this whole like the faith and religion side of things. I find that really interesting. Sort of seeing religion as like a superpower or like this mythical thing that's got powers. I found that really weird, and it felt out of place in such a grounded movie, but worked somehow.
No, I liked it.
I totally like that. And the ChatGPT one, which is a current favorite of the show, everybody knows that, is the colonialism and imperialism, which kind of links to yours. So obviously, you know, it's a mostly colonial setting. Jones traveling foreign lands to retrieve artifacts to take back to Western museums. It's exactly what you were saying. I think it's fascinating that picked up on the same things you were, the same vibes.
Yeah.
All right, then let's do our next segment, which is 3 best or 3 worst. This is just an overview from ourselves where we say 3 things from a movie, which 3 reasons why you might want to watch it and 3 reasons why you might not.
So my first,
what are your best?
My first best would be the duality of kind of Harrison Ford and the Frenchie throughout the whole time.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
I love how they play with that. We didn't talk about it much except for the beginning, but it's actually throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, it's great.
They're constantly kind of, foiled against each other. Hey, we're more alike than you think. I'm just a bit of a different shade.
It's almost like Balok's like. The antithesis, like I say, but it's just like he's almost just that little bit sharper than Indiana Jones. Like he's one step ahead. He always is there to take whatever Indiana Jones has just stolen.
And you're like, and it's like tempting for Indiana Jones to kind of compromise whatever morals he does have to compete with him. You can tell he's tempted.
Totally.
The other side of it would be, I really like the general, like the intro and the general world they built, but with like the tiki vibe. There's like a tiki.
I love that.
You know what I mean? There's like kind of like a tiki.
Totally.
I don't know what to call it, but that's what came to mind when I was
felt
thinking
very
about
Aztec to me.
Yeah, it was just kind of like, I don't know. It kind of created a genre, I think.
I'm surprised Graham Hancock wasn't there in the background.
100%.
He's like,
Graham.
This is actually significantly larger underground than it looks. Sorry, go on. I've watched way too much Joe Rogan recently.
Let's talk about Atlantis.
Yeah, exactly.
What else, man? The third one was I had John Williams.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Awesome score. I had the casting. I just think everyone is like so well cast in this. Like all the way from his antithesis, his rival, right the way through to like the sick, like the creepy Nazi guys. The whole thing's really well done. I've also said like the villains, like I feel like, the Nazis are the truly terrifying ones, but like I feel like the villains are often made of Indiana Jones' own making. Like I say, his antithesis, like it's real. I just think the whole thing's really well done and like structured. Turning archaeologists into heroes. Like there should be a bigger market for this.
Yeah, not an easy task to make someone who studies objects of history.
Yeah, weird shit.
That cool.
Basically turning Ross from Friends.
Making him cool.
Yeah, Cool. What are your worst?
Task. Yeah.
What are your worst, my man?
My worst are extended Nazi chases, as I mentioned. I thought that was like a bit too much. Dumb punch noises. And I guess I got to be careful with this one, but the completely evil, racist Nazi trope is played out. Not that, not anyone, the part of that has definitely faults, but I guess I would like a more nuanced view of that and just exploring more like what that means other than, hey, here's a villain.
I think now, like you said before, nowadays you probably would get that.
Yeah.
I said for my worst, the fact that Indy doesn't actually have a bearing on the end of the film. I kind of feel like
that's funny.
From, it's funny.
I think it's kind of like
actually
accurate. Like he's just a museum teacher.
Yeah, totally. I've got the female characterization. Like we've talked about this a little bit. Like I think you miss an opportunity to have Marion more involved in some of the final scenes. Mm-hmm. Like she's just kidnapped for half the movie, right? And she's just Kindy. It's like
it doesn't really make sense why. Like,
no. Anyway, and I just said that damn monkey. I hate him. Something I just hate him.
Let the
I struggled with this one. All right. Finally, then, the big and real question to this DL is: we don't do 3 whips out of 5 whips. We don't do 5 out of 7. We just talk about whether this movie is better or worse than the most average movie we can think of. The internet's polarizing enough. But is it better or worse than Aquaman 2018?
I mean, do we need to ask? Of course, this is better.
Of course, it's better. Of course, it is.
Sometimes it feels like we should just skip this segment.
Never ever.
One of those times.
I will never ever do that.
But I will tell you that it is better.
It is definitely better. All right, DL. Let's wrap this up then. So finally, I normally do for you a bit of what we call trivia true or false, where I give DL a bit of trivia and he's got to guess whether I'm being facetious or whether I'm telling him a real bit of trivia from the movie. However, I thought I'd change it up this week, just a little bit.
Let's hear it.
Just to change. So this week you have actors who rejected the role of Indiana Jones. True or false?
I feel like I know this.
Okay.
Like I've heard this before.
So I've got 5 actors here, and you have to decide whether they actively turned down the role of Indiana Jones or not. So the first one is Burt Reynolds.
Yes.
Did he turn down the role of Indiana Jones or not? He didn't. So it's the first red herring. He once admitted that his biggest regret was passing up the role of Han Solo.
That's what it was. I forgot I did.
Star Wars,
you got me.
1977. So I got you with the first one.
If he was Han Solo, it would have sucked.
Yeah, it would have really been bad. The second one then, Bill Murray.
Yeah.
He did. And one of the oddest selections to play Indiana Jones.
But you get it from his personality. You kind of understand why.
Kinda. He can be an asshole. I don't think he's got the philosophy, but...
No, he doesn't.
He's coming off the back of Caddyshack.
Laughable and charming, yes.
Definitely laughable and charming. Tom Selleck.
Yes.
Now, this was the obvious one. I had to throw this one here, but he was George Lucas's first choice as, co-writer on this.
You could see how it would play.
Yeah, totally. And apparently he couldn't get out of his contract to play Magnum PI, so couldn't do it.
Bummer.
Devastated for the guy.
Yeah.
Okay, next one then is Sylvester Stallone.
No.
Yeah, this is a red herring. He was up for any action movie in the 70s and 80s, effectively. Literally everyone. And if he wasn't, bloody Arnold Schwarzenegger was. All right. Final one then. True or false, Indiana Jones turned down the role of Jack Nicholson. Elongated pause.
Yes.
He did turn down the role. So apparently, coming off the back of his role in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, had shown his potential as a rebellious character. And they liked the performance in Chinatown too. And, that's kind of mysterious and quite masculine, aggressive. So, yeah, he turned it down too. I find that
makes
would have been
sense, though.
An interesting choice.
I don't think I think he doesn't do movies like this.
No.
This is blockbustery, no matter what you say.
Oh, big time. And I never said it wasn't.
No, I just mean no matter what you say. I meant in general,
no matter what you say.
What you say about it, it is a if it's good, it's bad. It's a blockbuster style movie.
Totally.
And that's just not his cup of tea.
I don't think he's
never done that.
He did some Chinatown, like I say, but not like
that. Wasn't a blockbuster though. That's not a mass appeal movie. It's just a really good movie.
It is a bloody good movie. We should do that one time.
I would be down.
I'd down to talk about.
But he's done rom-coms, to be fair.
Yes, I think that was more towards the end when he just couldn't give a shit anymore. Yeah. Ultimately, look, this is one of my childhood all-time favorite movies, and I will never not love this.
Agreed, man. Agreed. So
Well, DL, do you want a little bit of correspondence before we wrap up?
I'd love to hear some correspondence.
We've got some lovely correspondence. You guys can find us everywhere. You can find us at podcastassemble on Instagram or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. Check out the website, as I mentioned before, www.podcastassemble.com. We got some really cool content on there, but you can find our contact details there too. So hit us up. First, this week, DL,
Yes.
we had a potential topic sent to us by friend of the show, CP, who really liked this. It is actor duos who frequently work together. So the first example of this, the one that I have to hand, is Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone. So I think
they're in everything together.
You could find so many options of this.
Don't know if I want to though.
You wouldn't be interested in
I've
looking
already
into
seen
it?
all these movies, and none of them are good enough that I want to watch them
I'm not
again.
saying rewatch them. I'm saying we just talk about the actors who work together
we
regularly.
could do that.
That could be a fun one.
I
I
mean,
like that.
Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hardy. Are they in a couple?
Well, I mean,
Or is that just
you
one?
could go through all of the Nolan collaborators, for example.
That's, again, I don't really like when the same director uses the same actors all the time,
Interesting.
except for Martin Scorsese and Leo.
Interesting.
But it's generally speaking, he just uses one.
He's
not using the same cast of 5, which is what Nolan does.
That's true. Yeah, that's true, actually. Scorsese, he loves Leo. He does love Leo.
He loves Leo and what's his name?
Mark Wahlberg.
And no. What is his name?
I'm from Boston.
Why am I having a
accent.
stroke? What is his name?
Who are you talking about?
The other main actor.
Jack Nicholson.
No, in all of Scorsese's films.
Mark Ruffalo.
De Niro.
He does love De Niro.
Yeah.
I'm sick of De Niro at this point. I'm not. Thank you, friend of the show, CP. We really appreciate it when you send us random topics. We'll check it out. Another one was, and this DL, actually, I was talking to my mum the other day, and I'm going on a bit of a side tangent here because I thought I would feed this back to you.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason she was saying that you thought Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid was the first color movie was because it started off in sepia tone, and then it changes into color as the film goes on.
So it was a stylistic choice.
Stylistic choice, yeah.
Look at a badass movie that is.
Good movie.
It's a really bad. Have you seen it?
Many years ago, not recently.
Rewatch it. It holds up.
Rewatch it.
Rewatch it.
I will. We could do it for one of our many, many, many anthologies.
I would love. Are we starting a Western anthology?
Do you want to start a Western anthology?
I would love to start a Western.
We can
anthology.
start doing that.
Okay, we might have to.
Hang on a minute then.
Yeah, I have correspondence as well.
Okay, just all right. I will concede a Western anthology. You got to start letting me do some shitty movies again. We had a lot of fun talking about those shitty movies.
I mean, you did, but yes.
We haven't done it for a long time.
That's fine. Fair enough.
How about it? All right.
I have some correspondence from Mazeman.
Beautiful.
Yeah, she wrote in. It was, I should preface, spoilers for the Last of Us episode.
Oh, we've got some spoilers from friend of the show, Joe, too.
Okay.
Excellent.
It was really good to see Ellie actually scared.
Yeah.
I was tired of seeing her pretending to be badass and having nothing affect her. That's what was missing from her, some vulnerability. Now I can officially like her. Otherwise, fuck that pedophile.
Love that. And this is great because, thank you, friend of the show, Mazeman. We also have correspondence from friend of the show, Joe. And these are leading nicely into what we're going to talk about next week, hopefully, which is probably going to be The Last of Us.
Yes.
He also said, oh my God, he actually says the episode with Ron Swanson.
I mean,
it's right. That's all I can see when it's on screen.
Ron Swanson in San Francisco.
Totally. He says the whole thing is just effectively phenomenal, and it's just making him want to go back and play the game again.
I feel the same. Yeah,
me too.
I just want them to release that multiplayer game. So
same.
It's been in the making for like 3 years.
Well, you can play it. I think you can still play it from the first one, or they've recently closed the servers. Look, the game is phenomenal. The show's phenomenal. And slight plug for our YouTube channel. Go and check out my recent video on how the TV show may end. I posited a theory that I think they might kill Joel at the end of this series. So go and check it out.
Oh, man.
We'll talk about it all next week after the last episode comes out.
We will. I forgot to say one part of the correspondence. It's actually quite funny. Mazeman wrote in, I wasn't that shocked that they were eating humans. I was at first, but once I found out they were already dead and they were hiding that from the other people, I actually thought it was good leadership.
Wow.
Woo, I should be worried.
Our listeners are really weird. But all right, we appreciate that. Thank you for that. Thank you, friend Show Mazeman. Where can they find us, DL?
Oh, they can find us at Podcast Assemble on Instagram. or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com.
We got it right. Yay!
And with that, I think it's time to close out this show.
Wrap it up.
So what I will say is, please do pass on the pod.
Path on the path.
Pass on the pod.
Please.
Give us a review of any kind. And thank you to friend of the show, Mr. Matthew Bliss. I can't talk. I am having a stroke. Of Blissery.fm for editing this episode. If you are a budding podcaster and are thinking of hiring a podcast engineer to edit your podcast, you know what to do. Let him know at his email, info@blissery.fm, or visit blissery.fm for more information about Madness Podcasting Services.
He's an absolute legend. Check him out. Seriously. He does all my YouTube videos now as well. He is...
And they're way better.
Editing superior. Oh my God, like infinitely better. There is a very clear delineation
I cannot
between...
say anything because I've never edited a video in my life. But what I will say is
he used a different program to I did.
Yeah,
he does. The program he uses is clearly better than what I use.
Yeah, it's a program for sure.
It's totally the program. That's all I'm gonna say.
You can listen to his video game news podcast, The Dead Drop, 10-minute episodes twice a week.
Check him out. He's great. He's great content. Love the guy and a great editor. Thank you very much, DL. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, man. And until next time.